Alright everybody, welcome back to Mamaw's Kitchen, where Mamaw's gonna cook our family favorite recipes. Take it away, Mamaw.
All right, we were requested to try to show you some crock pot recipes. This one's one of my favorites. You're gonna really like this one. Super easy because you don't even have to brown the meat when you do this one. So we're gonna use not quite 2 pounds of pork butt. This is a small batch. You can always increase it, but we're just gonna lay it down in the bottom of the pan, and then we're gonna add all the seasonings to it. Before I do that, wash my hands. I touched raw meat. You always wash your hands with soap when you're done doing that. All right, this recipe calls for garlic cloves. I don't have cloves, so I'm going to use the concentrated powdered garlic. Now, when I looked it up, it said 1/8 of a teaspoon is equal to 1 clove of garlic. That doesn't really sound like enough to me. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic for every garlic clove, which means just 1 teaspoon of garlic. So that's what we're gonna sprinkle over the top. I'm gonna try to make it even. The liquid that we put in here in a little bit will kind of distribute it a little bit too, but I'm just gonna do that all over the meat. Then chili powder. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of chili powder. Same thing, I'm just gonna try to sprinkle it all over. I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. So we've got the pink salt, and just level that out, kind of sprinkle it all over. This is so easy. This is gonna go into this crock pot. You can do it if you need to be gone all day long. You can be gone and you can put it on low for 8 hours. We're gonna do it on high for 4 because right now it's around lunchtime and we're gonna do it tonight for dinner. So, all right, cumin. I'm gonna do a teaspoon of cumin. I got that one stuck in the jar. Okay. So black pepper. Now normally I use my pepper grinder, but with this, because I need a whole teaspoon of it, I'm gonna go ahead and measure it out. This is the coarse ground black pepper. I like using it better than the one that's like really powdery. So this will add all the flavor that we want to add to it. All right, so let's see, let's go back through that. We did garlic, salt, chili powder, cumin, oregano, and black pepper. Now we're going to coarse dice or coarse slice an onion. Some of our other recipes, we have to cut it really small. Some of them larger. This is another one of those where it's just going to be larger. Really just need the flavor from it, but we're not going to use this part. It's the flavor, really the liquid that it's going to be cooked in. So the paper around these onions is terrible. All right, so we're going to get this all off. Onion. Okay, now we're just going to separate that and stick it in here. The broth and the heat does all the work for this. We really don't have to do very much. It only takes about 5 minutes prep time on this side of it. And then you just let it cook all day. All right, now we're going to do 1 orange. I've got these little cutie oranges, and I'm gonna use it. And I'm gonna squeeze it, get all the juice that I can out of it. Okay, here's another one. You can leave the rinds in if you want to. It's not my preference, so I'm not going to. We're just going to squeeze it in. Now, calls for 1 lime. Right now, the only limes in our store were these really small ones, so I'm going to add 2. It didn't seem like it was going to be quite enough. And then later on, I have 1 more to garnish with, so we can add some more flavor to it then. But right now, we're just going to squeeze this one. Not very much, because it does not want to squeeze. I should have rolled it first. All right. Let's see if we can use this fork and do a little bit of encouragement here. There we go. So did you see what happened? It was really hard and I couldn't hardly squeeze it. So I used the fork, and I'm using the fork and just twisting it in there. So it kind of became a little bit of a tiny citrus juicer for me. And now look at all that liquid that's pouring out of there. So that's what we needed. I'm gonna do the same with this first one, and we're gonna encourage it to do the same thing. Oh my, now I've got juice coming out everywhere. That is awesome. Sometimes there's little tricks that you learn the hard way, right? And that was one of them. All right, so this time I'm going to try to roll this one first and see if it works a little bit better for me. My knife needs sharpened. All right. No, they do not want to work today. All right. There's more than one way to get this done. That's why we had the fork handy. Oof, just squirted it back in my eyes. Be careful. Okay, last thing we're gonna do on this before, I'm gonna wipe my hands off, before we do the lid and the heat, we're gonna add a can of Coke. Sounds so odd, doesn't it? But this does amazing tenderizing for this meat and cooks in a lot of flavor. And so we're gonna use a can of Coca-Cola. I'm gonna just pour it all over it. Now that's gonna blend all those spices in there together. All right, put the lid on. We're gonna cook ours on high for 4 hours, then come back and see what we're gonna do with it. All right, we are ready to start building. We've got the meat in the crock pot. It's done. It'll be ready to shred. But before we're ready to eat the carnitas, we're going to want to fry the taco shells and dice onion and cilantro. So our first step is going to be just to start a little bit of oil in the pan. Remember, we've done that before when we had to make the French toast. We're going to do the exact same steps. So a real shallow pan with not a lot of oil in it. We're going to turn this up to 350. Try to get it up nice and high. Actually, I'll do 360, and then I'm going to turn it on. While that's heating, we're going to go ahead and dice the onions and the cilantro, and then we'll be ready. So this is one of those where the finer that you dice it, the better it is. So we're going to really make this one nice and fine. Remember how we do the slices into the onion. We've cut the onion in half. Now I'm doing the slices into this root, and now that was multiple slices, what, 5 probably? And now we're gonna just do the little slices into it. All of this is a really simple way to dice that onion up really fine and tiny, okay? All right, now we're gonna really small slices here. So simple, so easy. I used to spend lots of time dicing onions until I learned that little trick. All right, we're gonna do that. Now, I'm going to put this in pan here. Now we're going to do the cilantro. I like just the leaves. So we're going to just kind of just pick off the leaves. Okay. Kind of shred them off of that stem. There's fun tricks with this too, and we'll show you that. Make it nice and fine. We're going to get rid of those stems. All right. So We're gonna roll it, kind of just pinch it all together and roll it up. See how we're doing it, just pulling it all in. Okay, now we've got this nice little bundle. Now I'm going to do little teeny tiny slices. Remember to keep your fingers where you're not getting your fingertips. You're kind of keeping them rolled away. All right. And then one time through this way. Look at that. Nice little fine pieces. So now we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to put this beside the onion because with this is going to build the pork carnitas in just a little bit, and we don't need very much of it. So we're going to put this to the side. Now we're looking for the ripples in the oil. Let's see if we can see that yet. Uncle Clinton, what do we got? Not quite yet, it doesn't look like. All right, so we're gonna wait just a little bit and we'll get the oil ready. I'm gonna go ahead while we're waiting on this oil to heat up. I'm gonna pull the meat out of the crock pot, put it in another container so that we can shred it, and so it'll come out of the broth. All right, we cleaned up our countertop just a little bit. We are ready to fry these shells. These are little street taco shells. You can buy these already fried. I don't like them as well. So this is how Mamaw does it. So we're gonna just drop it down in here. I count about 30 seconds and then I flip it over. All right, there we go. See how it's turned just a little bit of brown on the edge? So we're gonna do that a couple of times. Then we're gonna do it, put it on a paper towel to dry. And we're gonna do quite a few of these. So we'll probably just show you how to do this one and then we'll come back when we've got them all finished. There you go. That's all that one needs. All right, we've got one, we've got another one done. See how I'm folding the paper towel over? The paper towel is gonna help us absorb some of the grease. And then we're going to start on another one. Here's the meat from the crock pot. Some of the onions are still in there. You can see the broth on the side. We're going to just pick up the meat and put it on our cutting board, and we'll try to separate it from some of the fat so we don't have very much of it in there. That pork is of course fatty, but that's actually part of the flavor too, so we don't want to cut it off. We want to cook with it, get that flavor out of that meat. But then when we're ready for this part, we just want the meat. We don't want anything else. So we're just going to separate it. There's a little bit there. Put it back in the scrap pan. All right, we're going to dice this up really fine. And then we're going to put it in our skillet with a little bit of butter. Now this is all super fast, super easy. So the work this morning when we were putting it in the crock pot, it wasn't very much. And now really, I mean, what have we been doing this, Uncle Clinton? About 10 minutes now? So we're talking about another 15-minute prep time to try to get all this stuff done. And then you've got a meal. Now I will tell you, after being home today, smelling this cooking, it's a good thing to put this in the crock pot and leave, because honestly, we've been smelling it cook all day and it smells so good. We've all been wanting to get into the crock pot and get started on it earlier. So do this on a day that you're going to leave the house for sure. All right, almost done. Oh, this looks so good. All right. How much more meat? Okay, so there you go. This is what's left. This is what we're gonna use to cook with. I've got my knife. We're just gonna dice this up in little tiny little pieces. It's really tender. I could have probably shredded it with the fork, but I'm gonna dice it tiny because it looks prettier on the little tiny street taco. All diced up tiny. Okay, there we are. I'm going to switch to this. We're going to use the metal spatula on the cast iron pan to make sure that the meat doesn't stick. Now we put some paper towels underneath our cutting board. You probably noticed that. When we did that, we weren't sure how much juice was going to be in this meat, and we didn't want to make a mess on the countertop. So sometimes it's better to be a little bit preventative in the things that you're doing. Now, I want that to all just kind of spread out in there. Let's see if we've got enough space for all of it. I think we do. There we go. All right. $350. Kind of that medium heat. All right, we're gonna fry this. We're gonna get a little bit of a crisp on it, and then we're gonna build our street tacos. All right, see the color? That's that little crispy edge that we're wanting. It's done. We're ready to just start building. So I'm gonna leave this cooking just a little bit, but just to kind of brown that other side. But this top part right here, that's what we're gonna build with. So let's get a plate out. All right, I'm going to build. We've got a couple little street tacos here. See how crispy they are? That's what we want. And we're gonna do a little bit of this meat that's on top that's nice and crispy. I'm just gonna serve with this little utensil right here. There we go. You hear it popping? It sounds so good. All right. Now we're gonna do a little bit of onion. And cilantro. There you go. That, my friends, pork carnitas. All right, we're gonna add a little bit more homemade salsa on top, and then don't forget to squeeze a little bit of lime over the top of it. This is the best part. There you go. Enjoy.